Hi students, welcome to session 3 of Water, a Precious Resource. Now in the previous sessions we discussed about uses of water, sources of water. There is one more important topic to discuss about water, and that is natural distribution of water in India. So let us discuss about this important topic. Yes students, natural distribution of water in India. Students, water availability in India depends greatly on the seasonal monsoons, as we discussed that our country, India, is an agricultural country. So basically it depends greatly on the seasonal monsoons, right? So agrarian country, it's an agricultural country, means even the agriculture purposes, they meet the needs of these purposes of agriculture, of irrigating the crops or watering the plants. This all depends upon the monsoons. So that is why we can say that water availability in India depends, and agriculture too in India depends greatly on the seasonal monsoons. Now the monsoons bring heavy rains, as we know, over most of the country between June and October, right? So let us see the rainfall map of India. What does it shows? Yes, here you can see that there are blue shades. Here in the blue shades it is shown that how much centimeters of rainfall is there in each place, right? So here you can see that some are the state capitals, some are the union territory capital, and some are the national capitals, right? So by the blue shades you can come to know that how much centimeters rainfall is there in each of the state, right? So under 20 centimeter, which are the very light ones, these are the states, or we can say that they come under the desert region, like Rajasthan. Rajasthan is one such state which comes under the region which receive under 20 centimeter or 20 to 40 centimeters of rainfall. And there are very less regions which receive 250 centimeters of rainfall. So this is the India annual average rainfall map, which shows that there are seasonal monsoons which sometimes bring heavy rains, or sometimes there are no rains. So it is a very critical problem and we need to solve it. But distribution basically depends upon the seasonal monsoons, right? So only Tamil Nadu is the exception, which receives over half of its rain from October to November. Otherwise no other region receives rain in between the months of October to November. And India ranges from places having water loss conditions like Thar desert to places with rainforest climate like northeastern states, right? And in general the northern half of the country sees greater extremes in rainfall. Like India has a large network of rivers too. The three major rivers, as you all know, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. So Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra originate in the Himalayas and they drain nearly 2/3 of the land area, and this way it is distributed. So these rivers also account for nearly the same proportion of India's total water resources, and water in these rivers is strongly influenced by the monsoons, because during the monsoons water levels in the rivers increase greatly and they may result in floods. On the other hand, during the dry season water levels go down quite a bit in most of the large rivers, and smaller tributaries and streams generally dry off completely. So there are two major crises, like flood and famine, and as well as drought can happen in the dry region. right? So to regulate this water flow in these rivers and distribute water more evenly throughout the year, large dams have been built on a number of rivers, right? And on the other hand, the mountainous and hilly regions of north and west, they do not allow adequate seepage. So groundwater is mostly limited to lower lying areas such as valleys. So remember this, that there are these regions too of north and west side which do not allow adequate seepage, and that is why groundwater is mostly limited to lower lying areas such as valleys. Now you will be very amazed to know that the peninsular areas of our country also do not allow proper absorption of water, and therefore they do not have large continuous aquifers. Now peninsula here means, peninsula is a piece of land which is surrounded by water on three sides, right? So these peninsular areas means a piece of land which is surrounded by water on three sides. From three sides also do not allow proper absorption of water, and that is why that is also creating a big problem. And though the coastal plains are a rich source of groundwater, they can be contaminated by dissolved salt. So we can say that they are contaminated by salt water inflow caused by over pumping of groundwater. If it is drilled more, if it is over pumped, then it can get contaminated by salt water. So this is also a critical problem which we should keep in mind. Even the Gangetic plains are, however, rich in groundwater, since the aquifers keep getting recharged and restored. So this is one major thing which we have to keep in mind when the natural distribution of water is taking place in India. This is the natural distribution. Now, as we discussed that there are many tributaries and streams that generally dry off, and there are many other regions where water flow has to be regulated and it should be distributed more evenly throughout the year. So for that, man-made things or the large dams have been built on a number of rivers, right? So let us discuss about it. Yes, students. Now I think that you might have heard about flood. A flood happens when too much rain falls. Even storms can cause floods. So in a flood, water from rivers flow over the land, and this flood water enters houses and even many other buildings. So a flood is a great flowing or overflowing of water onto land that is not usually submerged. So a flood happens when too much rain is there, brought by storms and strong winds, then fall and cannot be absorbed by the soil. So basically rivers, they burst their banks and the water spills onto the land. Even the strong winds blowing across the sea make huge waves that surge into the land and flood the coastal areas, and that is why dams are built. So what is a dam, students? Yes, a dam is basically an artificial wall which is built across a river, and water is allowed to collect behind this wall in a reservoir. Even after that, a system of artificial canals are there which channelizes water from the reservoir to the region downstream for irrigation. So this dam is the man-made thing which is very helpful, or which has now become very helpful. So here you can see the beautiful picture of a dam, right? So this is an artificial wall. This region, this one, is an artificial wall which is built across a river, and water is then allowed to collect behind this wall in a reservoir, right? So basically there are many dams built in India, like the Bhakhara Dam. Bhakhara Dam is the first project to be taken up after the India's independence, and it is built across the river Satluj, also spelled as, alternatively spelled as Satluj. So Bhakra Dam is built across the Satluj river near the border of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, and this Bhakra Dam is a part of larger Bhakra Nangal project that aims at preventing floods in Satluj Bias River Valley to provide the irrigation to adjoining states, as to aid in agriculture and to provide hydroelectricity too. And that is why we can say that these dams are very beneficiary, right? To prevent flood, it is very beneficial, right? So that was all about the natural distribution of water in India and about dams. Now we will discuss about other important topic of water. Yes, students. So the other important topic which we are going to discuss in today's session is scarcity of water. Now students, scarcity of water is defined as the situation where there is insufficient water to satisfy normal requirements. So though water is a renewable resource, we humans are using it at a faster rate than it is being replenished. So drought or scarcity of water leads to the situation called drought. So in drought, rivers and streams dry up, plants and animals can die in drought, people have less water in drought. So a drought happens when there is no rain for a longer period of time. In a drought, plants do not grow properly. As streams and rivers dry up, plants and animals die. Even because farm crops and animals, they die due to the lack of water. Here there is a loss of food for people to eat, and what food there costs more. So if a drought lasts for a longer time, people may also die of starvation and the land may become desert. So in areas where trees have been cut down, hot winds blow away the dry topsoil, and planting trees may also stop. They may help stop the soil being blown away in the times of drought. So to prepare for a time of drought, people store water in dams and they use the water from rivers to irrigate their crops. So basically this scarcity of water leads to such situation, and we know that water is a renewable resource, then too we humans are using it at a very faster rate, right? So we need to discuss the factors which leads to the scarcity of water, and then after discussing about the factors, we need to think upon the factors that how we can prevent this or how we can reduce this scarcity of water, right? So there are various factors contributing to the depletion of water table. But before that, you can see here a picture which is showing the region which is suffering from drought. Now here you can see many green lands, right? So here soil is fertile and favorable conditions are there, but at the same time here you can see that a situation is there where drought happened. Now here you can see that there are no green lands and no plants growing and not even the water. So there are other animals too which stay or which are present in this region, which live in this region, like frogs. The frogs need water in which they have to lay their eggs and as a place for tadpoles to live as they develop into frogs. So in a drought, many creeks, rivers, wetlands dry up, and some species may not even, they can breed during these months. So there are many such disadvantages. Without rain, the plants that are the food to many animals and birds, they are in short supply or they die out altogether. And when waterways dry up, the wildlife has no drinking water. Even fish and other animals that live in streams, rivers, and dams will die when the waterways dry up. So this is the condition when drought happens. So we should keep in mind these factors, and we should take certain preventive measures with which we can stop these various factors. So first let us discuss about the factors which contributes to the depletion of water table, and that is increasing population, industrialization, agricultural activities, and deforestation. So let us discuss about some of the points about each of these. Yes, first one is the increasing population. Now here, growing population has resulted in a growing demand for houses, offices, shops, roads, and many other construction. So as a result, open areas like parks and playgrounds are used for construction, and this reduces the seepage of water into the ground. Even many cemented places, cemented roads are there, with which the seepage of water into the ground has become impossible. And that is why there is no underground water or groundwater available, or subsoil water available, through which we can drill and we can use that water. And that is why the seepage of water into the ground has become impossible. So this growing population is a very crucial issue, a crucial topic which should be kept in mind. Moreover, the construction work requires more water, for which underground water is used. Now for drilling, a simple drilling machine is not used, but that is a very different machine with which this underground water can be made available by drilling into it. But even overuse of this water, groundwater, can also lead to many salts contaminated. They can contaminate the salts in the water which is present in the ground. So that is also harmful for us. So since the rate of consumption of underground water is more than the seepage, there is depletion of the water table. Water table, students, try to recall, which we saw in the aquifer diagram. So that water table, if it is depleting, then obviously consumption of underground water would be more disadvantageous, right? So one such factor which we discussed was increasing population. Now we are discussing about the other factor, which is also a very crucial topic, that is industrialization. Now growing population has also resulted in an increase in the number of industries, because as the population is increasing, more population, more people, more billions of people, more they need food to eat, more they need the technologies, more construction is required because they need to have shelter, everyone needs to have roof under their heads, over their heads, so they need to have homes. For that, construction is done. So basically, growing population is the pillar to all these problems which are arising, right? So growing population has resulted in an increase in the number of industries, where water is used in almost every stage of production of things that we use, right? So the for industrial purposes, use of water is increasing. That is why water is depleting. Then this has also put a heavy load, especially on the freshwater ecosystem. And because of this freshwater ecosystem, which is now not being available, and we should use it judiciously. So what is happening, that it is creating an imbalance in the freshwater ecosystem, because of which marine life is also affected. The third factor, which is of very much importance to us, is agricultural activities. Now as we know that India is agrarian, that is, it is an agricultural country, and farmers have to depend on rains for irrigating their fields. So however, erratic monsoons result in excess use of groundwater, thereby decreasing the underground water. Other is the last factor which we are discussing here is deforestation, and it has been a very, very critical issue nowadays. So trees have the ability to hold water, we know very well, that to prevent flood or to prevent soil erosion, deforestation should not be there, right? Instead, afforestation should be there. So with deforestation, the number of plants decrease, hence the water keeps flowing towards the sea and the groundwater is not recharged. And if we are using groundwater more and more, then there is a serious problem of the contamination in the soil. Contamination of salts can happen in the groundwater. So basically, this is a very serious issue. These are such factors which cannot be prevented at a time. It cannot be prevented in one day. It is a very long process. So we need to think from today itself, right? To take some measures, right? So that was all about the factors. Now, other than these factors, there are other factors of water scarcity too. So we need to discuss about that water scarcity, right? Now in India, there are some causes of water scarcity, and the uncontrolled use of borewell technology for extracting groundwater. So this is the first cause of water scarcity which we are discussing, right? So listen carefully and try to understand it. Uncontrolled use of borewell technology for extracting groundwater. Now farmers have overexploited groundwater resource in our country due to uncertain monsoons and an unreliable state water supply, because of which the soils in the groundwater are getting contaminated and groundwater is not available as there is deforestation, and because of this deforestation the water cycle is getting imbalanced. Because of the imbalance of water cycle, there are no rains, right? So this is one such thing, one such cause which we have to keep in mind. The other cause is that of the pollution of freshwater resources. Now here, due to the flow of untreated sewage from homes, toxic chemicals from industries, and of pesticides and insecticides used by farmers into the water bodies is creating pollution of freshwater resources. Now as we discussed that fresh water is the only water which is available, which is ready for use for drinking purpose, because for drinking we cannot use or we cannot drink dirty water or the groundwater directly, right? So fresh water resources, if these resources are only getting polluted, then what will happen? What will happen in the domestic needs? What? We will use the dirty water in cooking, or will we use the dirty water for drinking? No, we cannot. So this pollution of freshwater resources should also be prevented, and this is actually going on a very large scale. So if it is not prevented, and if this is not taken into granted, then obviously there will be problem. Even you will be very amazed, you will be very shocked to know that farmers who do not have that much of education or knowledge that how to produce crops, so for the more production of crops, they use more of the pesticides, or in the more amount they use the pesticides and insecticides, because of which new species of insects and worms develop. And because of that, for killing those worms and new insects, which are new species which are creating, they use more pesticides and more fertilizers. And because of it, what happens? That when they irrigate the field, and if the water is escaping out of the field, the irrigated field, that water will be containing these harmful contaminants, that is pesticides and insecticides, right? And because of this, water will be polluted, which is escaping to the river, to lakes, to streams, and then finally adjoining the big streams, and after that indirectly polluting the freshwater resources. So this should also be kept in mind. The other cause of water scarcity is that no effective measures for water conservation are taken. Now very little very little thing has been done, very little measures for conserving water has been done for groundwater recharge and for care of the freshwater ecosystems. So if there are no effective measures taken, obviously we are going to face many problems. So this is one thing which we should keep in mind, right? So this is about the scarcity of water. Even the scarcity of water is becoming very serious, and it has actually become very serious in the country like Egypt. Now without the river Nile, Egypt would not exist, as most of it is a desert. Now most of the Egyptian population lives near the banks of the Nile river and cultivates the fertile land around the area. Now the Nile river used to flood Egypt every year, and now 2 big dams control the Nile. So the building of the Aswan High Dam created the world's largest reservoir called as Lake Nasser. What it is called as? Lake Nasser in Egypt. Right? So preserved from the threat of the devastating floods, Egypt is now protected from the dangers of famine by the regulation of water. But before this dam was created, or the largest reservoir was created, there was much scarcity of water. But preventive measures were taken, and now there is no such problem. So these problems should also be eradicated in India as well. Right? So always keep in mind such sources of scarcity of water with which we can take some preventive measures. Right? So that was about the water scarcity in our country. Now there are effects of water scarcity on plants too. Like water is very important for plant growth, we know very well. So its deficiency obviously it will weaken the plant. So when plants do not get sufficient water, they do not grow to their expected height, and they have reduced photosynthetic activity, and they produce much less harvest than expected. Right? So without enough water, plants will also be susceptible to diseases which can eventually lead to the death of the plant, and this may result in no food, no oxygen, no rains, and eventually end of all forms of life on the earth. Right? So where do plants go when they die? Yes, a growing plant builds its tissue of water, carbon and nitrogen compounds present in the soil, and carbon dioxide from the air. And when it dies and falls to the ground, its tissues are decomposed into simple compounds by the microbes which are present in the soil. And we know very well that this decaying plant matter is called humus. So as humus decomposes, plant residues are converted into usable forms that are stored in the soil, and then they are taken up by the living plants as food. Right? But what we need to keep in mind is the effect of water scarcity on plants too. So we should take care that how much plants we can grow every time. Right? So we should save trees, and we should also save water. Right, students? So that was all about the scarcity of water and effects of water scarcity on plants. In next session we will discuss about the one more important topic about water. As we discussed the scarcity, as we also discussed about the natural distribution of water, we also need to discuss one important topic, and that is conservation of water. So don't miss the session. We will meet in the next session with the important topic of conservation of water. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying, and save water.